I think the Randalls are a special family in the assassination events. Mostly it's Linny May, but I think there's reason to look at the Randalls generally. And one reason is, of course, they live close to Ruth Paine. The Randalls' house is on the right, Ruth Paine's house is on the left, and of course Oswald on Mondays we get a ride from Wesley Fraser, who was living at the Randall house, and on Fridays he would be brought back to the Paine house by Fraser. And this is Linny May in the CBS 1967 special on the Warren Commission. And I think perhaps her appearance in this show represents or demonstrates that she's a conspiracy witness, that is, one of the people who works for the conspiracy and who is employed to put a public face on the story here, that is, on the official story. And on the afternoon or evening of the assassination, both Linny May and Fraser were brought into the police station. You can see them here from the back, or at least Fraser from the back, wearing the jacket, and Linny May much shorter behind him. And this is a police report from the Dallas Police, which says that at 2:30, Captain Fritz sent Rose Stovall and Adamczyk over to the Paine house. And while they were at the Paine house, we don't know what time it was, but while they were there, Mrs. Bill Randall, who is Linny May Randall, came over to the house, approached Detective Adamczyk, and told him that her brother, Wesley Fraser, took Lee Oswald to work this morning, and that she saw Oswald carry something over to her brother's car and put it in the back seat. It was long and wrapped in paper or in a box. And this is the first time the authorities are told the Oswald package story, the Friday morning package that Oswald allegedly brought into the building. And according to this Irving police arrest report, Fraser was arrested at 5:30, and this is the first time that he had an opportunity to talk to authorities, and he didn't talk to the Dallas police for some time until some time after that. So I think it's clear that Linny May Randall, a Randall, which is the topic of this video, is the first person to tell the police about the Oswald package that supposedly had the rifle in it, which couldn't have had the rifle in it because it was too short, but anyway, that's the official story. Randall is the first one to tell that official story. And she proactively told it. She could have just stayed home, but she saw the police over at the Paines, and she came on over and told the police that story. And Linny May was also instrumental in getting Oswald a job at the Texas School Book Depository. This is from a Secret Service report where she's quoted in the first person. She tells her story in a way here that she doesn't tell it anywhere else. One morning, about 5 or 6 weeks ago, I went to the home of a friend, a Mrs. Roberts, who lives next door to Mrs. Ruth Paine, on a routine friendly visit. When I arrived there, I found Mrs. Paine and Mrs. Oswald. I would not say that I am over-friendly with Mrs. Paine, but I am acquainted with her. They were having coffee, and Mrs. Paine was giving out with a sob story about the Oswalds expecting a baby and him not having a job and all. As a friendly gesture, without thinking about it, I mentioned several places where I thought Oswald might try for a job. I remembered these places because of helping my brother Wesley look for a job some time ago. One of the places I mentioned was the Texas School Book Depository. Wesley was already working there. He obtained his job at that place through an employment agency. They questioned me only about the Texas School Book Depository job. Mrs. Paine seemed to hop on that. She asked if I would call down there, but I said no. She would have to call or contact the manager herself. Among the other places I suggested were the Manor Bakery and the Texas Gypsum Company. Mrs. Paine eliminated the bakery job on the basis that Oswald did not have a driver's license. She did not offer any comment on the Gypsum Company job. So clearly, Linny May is suggesting that Mrs. Payne, Ruth Payne, is choosing with some purpose the Texas School Book Depository job over the others. Now, I don't know what to think of this, really. In other statements, she does not characterize it that way. But here she's blaming Ruth Payne and trying to deflect blame from herself. But the fact is, she was instrumental in getting Oswald the job at the Texas School Book Depository. And moving along to Mr. William Randall. According to the FBI, Bill Randall was out of town on the morning of the assassination. He was in Austin, Texas, apparently there to install countertops, and he had with him, presumably his helper, Barry J. Castor. And as we can see in this 1961 Dallas directory, Castor is a relatively uncommon name in Dallas, there being only 17 listed in the book. But even though it's an uncommon name, there is another one in the story, and that is Warren Castor. He worked at the Texas School Book Depository, and he's the man who 2 days before the assassination brought 2 rifles into the building, which he said he purchased that very day, and he said he brought them home that evening. And the official story, of course, concludes that he had no involvement in the assassination. Yet this is a very odd coincidence, and although I can't prove anything about it, and I can't prove that Warren Castor is related to Barry J. Castor, the fact that it's a rather uncommon last name, and that we have 2 of them in this story, I think suggests the possibility that there's some kind of connection here in the conspiracy, which we know there was a conspiracy. But I can't prove it, so I guess I should say no more about that. And this is one that I find very intriguing, very interesting. This, I'm told, somebody said that that's Garland Slack there. I think it's probably a correct identification. And Garland Slack was in Dealey Plaza, according to his own account, or at least according to this FBI report. And one of the things he said in this FBI report, he said police officer H.B. Randall picked up a frightened young colored boy who was hiding under a monument, which boy was supposed to have actually witnessed the shooting of the president. He noted that Mrs. Allen in the sheriff's office took a statement from this young colored boy. Mr. Slack also said he made a full and complete statement to a person he believed to be Mrs. Allen. Now, according to the official story, the only person he could be talking about, the small colored boy, has to be Amos Ewens. And here from the Darnell film, we can see it's 2 people hiding underneath the monument. So presumably, presumably one of these people is the person that H.B. Randall took to the sheriff's office. And, well, I don't want to get into the topic of the 2 colored boys, but there were 2 of them, according to Forrest Sarles. And one of them, according to Forrest Sarles, was Amos Ewens, and he's the one that we know about. And presumably, that's the one that H.B. Randall took to the sheriff's office. But even though Garland Slack said that this little colored boy gave a statement to Rosemary Allen, the same person he gave a statement to, we can see that that according to the statements we now have, that Amos Ewens gave a statement to somebody else, to a Deputy Jones. So it seems that Garland Slack witnessed a statement being given by the little colored boy that is no longer on the record, and that it was replaced by this other one attributed to Amos Ewens. So it seems to me that H.B. Randall, Officer Randall, would be a very important witness, because we have the disappearance of a colored boy witness here, I think, being replaced with another colored boy witness telling a different statement, presumably saying different things in the statement because the other one was disappeared. So, who is Officer H.B. Randall? Well, according to Dallas police documents, there is no Officer Randall. There's not a single Officer Randall on the force, whether you want to spell it the way the FBI spelled it or the way Linny May spells her name. There's no Officer Randall. And there's only one officer with the initials HB, and that's H.B. McLean. And according to the official story, H.B. McLean was riding in the motorcade to the left of Marion Baker. And here we can see that according to the Dallas police documents, the motorcycle that this officer is riding is the one that was assigned to H.B. McLean. And H.B. McLean also happens to be the open mic officer, allegedly anyway. And the official story isn't, he really wasn't the open mic officer. But the idiots who believe in the acoustic evidence theory think that H.B. McLean had an open microphone, and that's what was causing the interference on Channel 1. Oh, let's not get into that topic. Just let's say that it's important. H.B. McLean is an important character because the official story says he was in the motorcade and he was the subject of the investigation of the open mic, and everybody says he is this officer riding beside Marion Baker. Everybody, that is, except for Marion Baker. Marion Baker said that J.W. Williams was the motorcycle officer riding beside him in the motorcade, and I think Marion Baker probably knew who was riding beside him in the motorcade, and I don't think he lied about it. And this officer did not stop in Dealey Plaza, whoever he was. If you want to think he was H.B. McLean, then H.B. McLean did not stop in Dealey Plaza. But H.B. McLean did stop in Dealey Plaza, and the FBI changed his name to Randall because whoever in the FBI was managing this particular report knew that H.B. McLean was a character that they didn't want to highlight because he wasn't really riding in the motorcade. He really was waiting in Dealey Plaza to perform his task. I think he did something before this, and he's the running motorcycle officer we can see in the Darnell film. And after that, apparently, after he did his job by the Texas School Book Depository, he went and retrieved a witness, the small colored boy, and Garland Slack saw him do so. Garland Slack told this to the FBI, but the FBI, instead of calling him H.B. McLean, called him H.B. Randall, and it seems funny to me that they would pick the name Randall unless they knew that there were some Randalls involved, because that's an odd coincidence if you're giving a fake name to a motorcycle officer to give him the name of the Randalls. And there is a photograph of McLean at the police headquarters, standing guard in the hallway, apparently in communication with Linny May Randall. I can't prove that's Linny May Randall, but I've inserted 2 photographs of her. She has a very distinctive hairstyle, and she's a very short woman. And I think it's H.B. McLean talking to Linny May Randall, and H.B. McLean was called by someone in the FBI H.B. Randall. I think it means there's some involvement here with Linny May Randall directly. I think her brother Frazier was involved too, but I think somehow Linny May Randall has a connection to this conspiracy, at least through H.B. McLean. So that's it. That's all I got. Linny May Randall helped Oswald to get the job at the Texas School Book Depository. Linny May Randall introduced the Oswald rifle bag story into the evidence. The Randalls perhaps are connected to Warren Castor through Barry J. Castor, and Linny May Randall connected to H.B. McLean. A definite conspiracy tool. Oh, I guess I was definite when I wrote that. I'm pretty definite. I think the Randalls were involved, and particularly it's Linny May Randall. I don't know how, I don't know why, but that's what I think.